All right, welcome back to Powerhouse Conversations, brought to you by Dream Big Sports, home of the best podcast for athletes looking to leverage technology to power their brands. This is episode 44 with the college football road trip. We have Ben Chase with us today, NIL advocate and a current road tripper. As you can see, he's currently in his vehicle on a road trip today. Ben, how you doing today, and how's it going?
Great, man. Thank you for reaching out to be a part of this podcast and just talk about NIL and everything. I'm currently somewhere. I told you, I'm currently somewhere in New Mexico, I think, or closer to Texas. Yeah. Just a long story short, I'm currently on a road trip to see 60 college football games, all on the road, no flying. The record is 50, and so that's why I told him I was trying to get somewhere a little more sexy to do this podcast, but I guess it makes sense for me to just pull over and do it on the road.
Yeah, so you're an overachiever. If the record is 50 and you're going for 60, that's you're going above and beyond, right?
Yeah. Hopefully I didn't cut out there. Hold on one second. I'm going to turn my AC up so I don't overheat this thing. Again, I sat down and I made an outline, and that I got to 62, and I said, you know what, like, let's just do like an even number. And actually, right now there's an outside chance that I hit 70 games.
Okay.
So going
That's
really
good.
big for it.
Yep. So let's take me back to how you came up with this idea.
Sure. So in college and after college, I was known as the guy on Gator Twitter. I'm a Florida Gator, as the one that would do these last minute road trips. For example, I drove from Orlando to College Station in 2020, which is in Texas, overnight behind a hurricane to see the Gators play Texas A&M. We lost that game. I've driven from Orlando, a UCF game, to Auburn, Alabama. So a Friday night game in Orlando to a Saturday night game in Auburn overnight. So this has kind of been like my MO, and people would always send me I don't know if you ever seen the Reddit, they have this like ultimate college football road trip map, and people would say, you got to do it. And so the timing of my last situation and just like the college football season, there's a few weeks for me to like think about what I want to do next. And I looked at the map and I said, let's just do it. Let's go for it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's definitely something I definitely would imagine that a college football fan or somebody who is really ingrained in the sport would definitely love to see. One of the first things that comes to my mind is the funding and the travel. What made you just go ahead and jump off and do it?
So I watched this YouTube channel. This guy Sean Cannell, he like does like YouTube like consulting, and he always says, "Start before you're ready and punch fear in the face." And so I kind of just made the outline, and I made a 2-minute video announcing it, and pressed upload. And after that, I just said, "All right, now I have to do it."
Right.
And it was crazy is, I uploaded that video week 0 right before going to the first game of the season in New Mexico State, and that was on a Saturday. And Tuesday, I got a DM from a producer at the SC Network, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to be on our show on Friday?" So that was like after 2. So I said, "Oh, now I'm really doing this. Like now I have no choice."
Right.
And from a funding standpoint, it's really like I have a credit card, and I just told you that I was in Tucson, where my apartment is, to pick up a new credit card. So, but I have had over 100 people contribute to this, either through finances or tickets or beds. I don't ask for money, but it has kind of been this rallying. In fact, some lady saw I was on the Orlando local news, and she messaged me on LinkedIn and said, "Hey Ben, I just saw your video on the news, and like I found you on LinkedIn to message you and just say like it's been really awesome like to see this thing, and you're kind of like my Forrest Gump. Like I just quit my job because I wasn't happy, and it's this thing has taken a mind of its own. In fact, an hour ago, the head coach at Marshall DM'd me and said, come to H-Town, you're going to have a great time. The head football coach of the next game I'm going to. Like,
Right.
it's kind of just, I did not expect any of it. I've never asked for anything. If people reach out to me, I'm going to, like, I make it hard for them to find my, like, Venmo and stuff. So, but it's been,
Right.
I had 4 oil changes. So I've spent, and I actually, week 1, I put $1,100 into my car. So it's been expensive. But I told someone yesterday, I kind of think of it as my last semester of college debt, literally. Like, I'm
Right.
getting, I'm getting all this debt, but I think at the end of the story, it'll all be worth it.
Yeah, no, and when you hit the nail on the head, right? The story behind it, right? Who can say that they did that? Who can say that they experienced that? You're going to have so many stories for a lifetime to tell. I mean, I think it's something that is very inspiring, and it's definitely something that you can definitely tell your kids, your grandkids about it, and you're going to meet a lot of people along the way. You're going to create a lot of great relationships, and I think it's amazing. So,
yeah, like sometimes I see like negative comments because that's how the internet is, but I kind of just push those to the side because, like, this is me chasing my happiness, which is this. Like, and I encourage people to do whatever that is. And sometimes when I get frustrated, I watch that. I don't know if you've seen it, the 65-second video, the Shia LaBeouf Just Do It video. Like, that's one of my favorite videos to watch. It's him in front of a green screen and, like, he's going crazy. But there's a line in it that says, some people dream of success, and you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. And, like, that's, everyone, like, mimics the Just Do It, like him, like, doing that. But, like, that line right there, like, is what I say in my head. Like, if I get frustrated, and in this trip, and, like, in anything that I do, I'm an attorney by trade, but, like, when I study for the bar exam, I watch that video every day when I study for the bar exam too. It's 65 seconds, and it's kind of like my daily affirmation, and that's kind of what keeps me going when I hit those hard parts.
No, I definitely think that is something that you have to have, right? So it speaks to perseverance. It speaks to just getting out and just doing it, and not being afraid of what people are going to say, not being afraid of what people are going to talk about. And it's about you and what's your journey, because you're the only one that's going to be on this journey. And like I said, that going through this process is something that is going to make you better on the other side. So I definitely think that that's something that is commendable, and like it's good that you have that affirmation to make sure that you are are keeping through it. And like I said, it's going to build character for you in the long run. Yeah,
100%. And just like for some context on this trip, like I don't go to all big games. Like I've gone to Ivy League games. I've gone to D2 HBCU games. I've actually this weekend I'll be going to my 3rd HBCU game. And like people are just, they say like, oh, you have to go to big game X or big game Y. Like this story is about meeting people in communities all over the country, and like telling, like, it's like, it's me going to these games, and like, cool, the games become kind of the afterthought of like, I believe that college football unites people in our country more than anything, more than religion, more than politics, and like telling these stories. And I'm kind of becoming proof of that. This is game. Oh, hold on, did I overheat? This is game upcoming tomorrow, 24 of this road trip, and I've only paid for tickets to 4 games. So like, that goes back to that financial thing. Like, I believe if you tell someone you want to do something, people are going to surround you, and they're going to help you get there. And like, I hope that this shows that that's true.
No, I think that's big. Like you just said, like when you go out and you show what you're doing, you take initiative to do something, then this is going to be, the right people are going to find you, and the right people are going to surround themselves with you, and the right people are going to support you. You can't worry about the people that don't. You can't worry about the people that aren't going to support you. You have to worry about the people that are going to believe in what you're doing and support it. And like you just said, college football is something that brings everybody together. And no matter what you like, it's just about having a good time on that most of the time Saturdays, but just having a good time and going rooting for your team, or like you just said, you're just going for the experience to have a good time and meet new people and be around community. So I think that's very, very great.
And every game I go to, I wear the home team and I cheer for the home team, and
like that's cool.
People, like that's they want to share their love with you. They want to share their nostalgia. They want to share their culture. Like I had deep fried tequila shots at one game, and then I had shrimp at another game, and every game you never know what the story's going to be. And
right.
I've had powerful conversations with alumni from the 50s, and I've taken shots out of ice luges. Like every game is going to be different.
Yeah.
And but it's and only once in this road trip so far have I heard anything about politics, and it was just when I got to California and my gas price was $7.50 a gallon. But besides that, like no one has asked me like where I stand on the political scale. No one asked me like anything like that. It's just you're here for this day, sharing what I love, and I want to share it with you. And like it's been humbling. And I mean, I'm not rich. Like I'm literally just putting it on a credit card and figuring it out later. I live in my van. Like I'm literally, that's my bed right there. So like people want like, and what you said earlier, like they say if you don't have haters, you're not doing it right. So like people are gonna be negative and try to steal your joy, but like that's part of your journey, and that my journey right now is doing this. And like wherever you are in life or whatever you're going for, like if you know at the end of the day that you're doing the best you can, like you just I just keep it moving, right? Like just keep it moving.
Yep. No, I love it. I love it. So tell me about the how that game day starts. Like, do you go into each town and have a plan, or like how does game day look?
Yeah, so every day or every game it looks a little different, but I kind of have like a system now. Like I said, I go to the town and I have a rule where I wear the home team gear. So actually, I go to Goodwill in every town and see if I can find something there. So I found some great stuff, and so I go to Goodwill and I try to make sure I like see what the color. Like a lot of games, there's like you have to wear this color in this section, or it's a blackout or a whiteout or a maze out. So I go to Goodwill and I get whatever I can there, and if I can't find something there, I'll get like Walmart is my second option. So I get a shirt and hat, and then I try to hit the game and maybe take a lap. If I don't have at this point, like everyone I've gone to, it's like come to here, come there. But like in the beginning, I just went up to random tailgates, like, and that's how I got my tickets to my first two games. Like I went up to the tailgate, these guys were playing cornhole, and I said, "Hey, do you guys have an extra ticket?" And they go, "We have like 30 extra tickets." So yes. And I was like, "Oh," and they're like, "Do you also want a beer?" And so one of my rules is if someone offers me a drink, I have to take it, which can get chaotic. But it is a rule. I don't have to finish it, but I do take it and drink as much as like because usually I'm driving somewhere else after the game, and then so I'll get my apparel, then I'll take a lap. I try to, not every game I do it, but I try to talk to and interview someone on because I'm doing a vlog for each game, but I'm behind on them because I'm driving and editing and sending thank you letters. I send thank you letters on the road to people that help me. Cool. I've done 90. I have to do like 60 more, but I handwrite them, so it takes time to like keep up with that.
Cool.
So I get to the game and I take a lap. I try to experience. I try to see and take it all in, and kind of like take mental notes of like, oh, this is a cool way the students do this, or this is how the alumni do it. And then during the games, I stay to the end of every game. I've never left a game early, and that's just a personal rule with my own team. Like if my players are on the field, I'm in the stands. Like they could be up 50, they could be down 50, but like they have to go through it. I'm going to go through it, and that's like an emotional attachment I have to my team and my school, especially college. So those are kind of like some of the things I on the road, like I try not to eat too much because I know I'm going to gain weight on this trip. So because I'm not really exercising a lot. I mean, I walk all over campus, so that actually adds up. But between this week I'm going games Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's 5 days, 6 games in 5 days. So I just got to be careful with that. But yeah, I guess that's a long way to answer kind of what I do on the days. And during the game, I'll go to my seat for like the first quarter. If I'm with friends, I'll like hang out with them and I'll say, hey, I'm going to take a lap and at this point, most of the people that are around me understand like I'm like working when I'm there, as well as enjoying the game. So I'll take a lap and try to experience and see everything that the stadium has as much as I can. I've accidentally walked into VIP areas, like legitimately on accident. And so that's kind of funny. But yeah, so that's kind of like my systematic thing.
Cool. And so you're big on tailgating, I assume. Love it.
I like to have a good time. I like to experience and the traditions at tailgates. At UF I met a guy that said I've had the same spot for 29 years. And that's the cool stuff. At the end of the season, I'm going to the Egg Bowl, which is Mississippi State against Ole Miss.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's in Ole Miss, and the Grove is the iconic tailgating spot in the nation. And I watched a video about how these families have had the same spots next to the same people forever, right? And hopefully I have the courage. It's weird to come up to someone and ask them if they could be on an interview, especially when they don't know who I am and I have a flip camera, not a big camera. So
right.
But I've gotten more comfortable going up to people and just small talking, and that's kind of my tailgating experience. I like to talk to old people, young people, anyone.
Cool. So let's kind of talk about some of these, some of your favorite experiences. What's been the best game so far? We'll start there.
Yeah, the best game it has to be. I would say it's a tie with two. The best game was Alabama at Texas, which Texas should have won the game.
Roll Tide.
20-19. But you you got Alabama got away with one there. There was a lot of opportunity between Ewers getting hurt and the missed 19-yard field goal before halftime. That was wild. And then FSU against LSU in the Superdome when the game literally ended on a 0 time on the clock, a blocked extra point. Right. That's how the game ended. A walk-off block, that's storybook. If that's a bowl game or any that's something you write books about.
Right.
There was 0 on the clock and they had to kick the extra point to go to overtime. And FSU blocked it. And what's crazy is I'm a Gator and I was in the FSU section, and I don't want FSU to do well relative speaking, but I was actually happy for them. So
right.
So those are, and then I've seen I've seen some shootouts. I've seen Fordham against Ohio was a shootout. So but those two are definitely at the top.
Cool. I was going to ask the wildest game, but best atmosphere, in crowd atmosphere.
So, sorry, I had a pretzel.
Oh, you're good.
The Texas game was an incredible atmosphere. I'm super biased when it comes to this because I've been to Auburn 3 times and all night games, and I know you just said Roll Tide. Have you been to Auburn for a game before?
I have.
If you Auburn fans, not to say anything about Alabama or Florida or other high level teams, but if you're an Auburn fan, you're all in.
Yeah.
All in on it. And they have so many traditions and so many every part of the game is scripted. Also, an AD DM'd me on Instagram and said, "Do I need anything?" And I said, "No, but I'm here with 4th and 5th generation Auburn Tigers if you can help them out." And he was like, "All right, we'll get you guys field passes before the game." So I got to be on the field for the flyover of the War Eagle.
That's cool.
And so that was from a unexpected. Texas State was really, really cool. They their in-game experience from if I had a 4-year-old to a 104-year-old, it has everything someone needs. They had a bounce house, petting zoo, beer garden, free photo booth.
Okay.
They have and then they have all the Texas traditions. So they're singing Deep in the Heart of Texas, and at the end they go Deep in the Heart of Texas State, and all that kind of school stuff.
Right.
They had two jumbotrons that are bigger than UF's jumbotron, so everything's bigger in Texas.
Cool.
So that was so I'd say game wise, Texas, atmosphere wise, Auburn that night is a special place. It's up there with LSU at night, and I'm going to Alabama this year, so I will be able to compare for the Iron Bowl.
Okay,
and,
cool, perfect.
And then Texas State, as far as just they have something on there, so that was kind of
cool. What game are you looking forward to most? That you haven't been to.
Yeah, so this week Penn State at Michigan, which is 2 top 10 teams, and I got invited. Someone got me a ticket, and they're like, "I'm going to buy you clothes too," and I was like, "Okay." So that from a high level game, that one's definitely there. I really am excited for the Egg Bowl just because it's a rivalry game. Obviously, Iron Bowl. I couldn't think if there's any like smaller games that I have on my schedule. I'm going to Boone, so I'm going to App State, and like they've kind of been one of the talks of the town this year. A Wednesday night. They kind of struggled lately, but like it'll be a Wednesday night game on primetime TV, so that'll be kind of cool. So those are just some of the bigger ones that are coming up. I mean, it's hard when you're going to 60, 70 games to circle some big ones, but those. Oh, I'm also going to the Whiteout at Penn State, so
that'll be fun.
Going to a lot of like. Yeah. So between the Michigan State, so those are probably the best ones.
Gotcha. Who do you think is the best? I'll do top four teams in college football this year.
Yeah, so that's a good question. And it's funny. I was going to start doing like my own ranking, the Ben 10 ranking.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah. It's hard for me to watch a lot of games when I'm traveling. So like I think next year, if I do this in some sort of fashion, I'll be able to, because like it's like I wake up on Sunday and I'm like, oh, let me go check on the games, like because I'm but I would say, I mean, the most impressive team I've seen in person is probably Ohio State. Like I went to Wisconsin against Ohio State. Like they just absolutely waxed them. Like it was not close. They won by 31, but it was like I think it was 39 or 40 at basically the whole game. And I know that Alabama's, Bryce Young has been hurt, but they're just, they just are going to peak at the right time. That's how they are. Like, so I would say Ohio State, Alabama. What else have I seen? I saw Clemson, and they're kind of getting hot. They weren't very impressive when I saw them week one, and they weren't very impressive against Georgia Tech, but they ended up winning by 31, so they were impressive enough.
Right.
And then I guess, UCLA really took it to Utah this past weekend, so I would say those are the top four I've seen in person. I'm trying to think. I would say I pull up the rankings, but I don't want to hop off the call.
No, you're good. I'll take that.
Yeah, that's it.
What's your all-time favorite college football team?
I'm a Gator, so that's
like which team? It could be a Gator team. It could be whatever. Yeah. Like which year?
Yeah, I would say I grew up in Florida, and before I was all in on a Florida, the 2001 Miami Hurricane team, like that team to me, I think is the greatest team of all time. Yeah. And I also like they got screwed out of being back-to-back champions because Willis McGahee got hurt, and there was that pass interference. To me, so it's hard for me to say this, but I really enjoyed that team when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. That run with Ken Dorsey as quarterback.
Agree.
If I'm going to be Percy Harvin, one of the most electric, that whole. Florida at that time.
Yep, that Florida team.
And then Vince Young's Longhorn team.
Yep.
And then one of my favorite games watching live is that Oklahoma against Boise State game. You had Adrian Peterson on Oklahoma score a touchdown on the first play of overtime, and then Boise State scores. They go for two with the Statue of Liberty play. So those are probably some of my favorite teams of all time.
Cool. Well, I do want to get to some of the business side of it now because, you said, your background is in law. And you've worked in the NIL space. Can you give people what's your how do you feel about NIL and the possibilities of it?
Oh, I think it's still, we're in, I call it the sophomore year now, right? Mm-hmm. Year two. So we had freshman year and we gained our freshman 15 and we learned and those 15 pounds are going to help build more, muscle eventually. I think right now there's a lot of untapped potential in more smaller local stuff. Mm-hmm. For example, I was actually a young man named Ben, ironically, from a law school in New York called me today, just talking about NIL, and I told him if I was a student athlete and I had time after the season, for example, if I was a football player and I could sing or I just am charismatic at all, I would host at a local restaurant trivia night or a karaoke night, mm-hmm. and hosted by me, and then work with the school or with the restaurant to get a percentage of food sales or something, right. Little things like that it's kind of being overlooked at a high level standpoint. I worked at NIL Collective, so I worked with alumni that were just basically cutting checks to create the seed fund money to create team-wide deals, or as they called them, legacy deals, so that they happened every year. With Penn State football and I worked with Arizona baseball. That's why I was in Tucson. I was not Arizona baseball, Arizona football. I actually became really good, not friends, I would say associate. The head football coach at Arizona knows my name, so I think that's cool.
Right.
But going forward, I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of tech companies and marketing companies get more into the space, and we have a lot of these marketing like marketplace apps.
Yep.
But like basically like Tender, where a student athlete can go on and match with a business. I would expect there's going to be a lot of consolidation with those. Like Influencer and Open Doors are kind of the powerhouses, and one of them I think Influencer got like $50 million in funding, and they did a partnership with 3 of them for like a year or two. And I assume that the partnership is to see which of those companies next year they'll just buy. and which ones have high achievers and high, like, I have my personal opinions about every marketplace, and I've spoken to the people from those. Like, I'm good friends with a few of the founders. So, I try to help, on the back end, just saying this is what I would do if I were you.
Right.
But I think that's the move from the marketplace standpoint. There'll probably be like a Facebook and a Twitter, or like 2 powerhouse ones, and these smaller ones will be purchased up. It's just because like students don't want to be on like 50 different places, and they agents are on there too. So a lot of these marketplaces now, like, you can have an agent like represent a bunch of players. So that's like a cool thing that's on there. And then I wouldn't be shocked if we see a lot more just intimate opportunities. I actually was working with UNLV, and one of the alumni there, she thought I brought up the idea, why don't we do some kind of fun, like, paint and wine with the offensive line, or like something like that, like, and it's like that will get like the female alumni involved, and they'll be like a cool way, or like the women's tennis team, like, they go out and have like a paint and wine night or whatever, like little things like that, or like alcohol's kind of weird, but just stuff like that. I think we'll see more creativity, and that's what makes me excited.
Yep, I think that's a good point. Like, the creativity behind where you can get, everybody's focusing on college football, right, or college basketball, and when you really think about it, there are way more sports or way more student athletes that can capitalize on these opportunities for themselves. When when people think of NIL, all they think of is, okay, these big deals that these college football and college basketball players are signing. But it's about, okay, hey, everybody can participate, and how can you be creative to participate in your own way?
Yeah, everybody can eat. In fact, like, I mean, it's, college basketball, college football, and, Paige Beckers, even though she's injured, is, killing it. She just I think she just opened a basketball court yesterday in her hometown. But, like, then you have, when I was looking, from like a influencer and like a social media standpoint, females are always going to have more followers than men. Like, just that's how it works. So, like, for marketing dollars, you're probably going to get a better investment. Especially, this is the most valuable student athlete, I think, in college, is a 4-year women's basketball player at UConn. Because they're going to be in college for 4 years, and they're going to be in the Elite Eight, Final Four every year. So that's why you see Fudd and Paige, like, that's a long-term investment. But also, if I was them, like, I would also be like, this is a year-to-year deal. Like, today's price is not tomorrow's price. Like,
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I would be like if I'm looking at that. Like, and there's other South Carolina basketball, and then in fact, when I was looking at this, like, Auburn's female dressage team, or like the people that do the horses, they're it's like a team of 12. Everyone on that team has more followers on Instagram than like every player on the Auburn football team, except for like 3.
Wow.
Like Tank Bigsby, the quarterback, like they all have like 8 to 12,000 followers, which, like, you wouldn't know because you just assume they're not popular. But there's obviously a huge, and there's a niche there too. Like, you could probably get some kind of like horse or related, marketing deals. But yeah, like, and then maybe it's one of those things like in that, like, they host like a ride with the team. And they're on their horses, and maybe they can find someone who donates like some horses, and that'd be a cool thing for kids to go to, right? So like, there's a lot of creativity. Now I could talk about that forever. This is what I enjoy doing.
Like, the creativity is exactly where we're going to find where it levels out, and people are able to actually like monetize their brands and utilize different things to do that. One thing I did want to go back to was just explaining how collectives work for people who don't understand.
Yeah, so collectives are basically high-level donors to the school or alumni that can put together like a pot of money that's distributed to student athletes in return for some kind of opportunity. For example, it could be a marketing opportunity, it could be a meet and greet. So, for example, a lot of these things you see, like student athletes going to the YMCA or a charity thing, are paid for by the collective. So it's like paid charity work, but also, I mean, like those, it's separate from the school. So like the university is aware of what's going on normally, and USC had just a big issue, a fight with one of their new collectives. But so it's probably the guys that are in the phones of the coach that like are the high level donors, that their names are on buildings. Mm-hmm. They cut a check, and then they usually have like one or two people just in charge of kind of making sure that there's a quid pro quo. Right. So like we're gonna get like for example, let's just use. I think it was Texas Tech announced that their collective is going to give every player $25,000 a year in exchange for stuff in the community. So as long as they can cover their tracks and have papers for like the deliverables of the student athlete, they'll be fine. And a lot of them now are moving to this like non-profit, which will open up a lot of more money. Yeah. That's where this gets a little risky, because there's the legislation being passed right now, like to make sure that not a thing. Because basically it's like, I'm donating money to this collective to pay a student athlete to go do charity work, and I don't know if there's a disconnect there that should be or not. But I'm not going to say yes or no. Like it's like a hard. It's going to be decided on. Right. Right. There could be a lot of people that have donated or contribute. I use the word contribute. To these collectives that have been told that it's a 501c3, and hopefully it works out, but like it could be, that could be a big issue in the next 18 months.
Gotcha. Question. So I went to a small HBCU, and one of the things that the conversation is about how smaller schools can create their own collective. So what would be the steps of creating a collective for people who are listening?
Sure. Sorry, I may have cut out there for a second. Yeah. So I mean, step one is education, right? Mm-hmm. So like I would get, if you, for example, so say we both, were passionate fans of X university, small liberal arts college in Y city, right? So we are like, all right, we know that, financially we're not going to have, high level, we're just two kids that are, in our, not even, I don't know how old you are, but we don't have a lot of money, but we want to help our school and our student athletes. So a lot of times you would go to the administration and say, hey, we're looking to do this. Do you have anyone that's trying to do it too? Right. Because like, it's one of those things where you don't know till you ask. Right. There's a lot of these schools that have 3 or 4 collectives out there, 2 or 3. Like I think it's better to unify. Like because at the end of the day, it's all about helping, right? So I'd go and say, hey, like this is what we're planning to do. Is there anyone else we should talk to? Right? Is there anyone else we should and like the school wants to be informed on this because they don't want you to screw them or the athletes or yourself. Right. So, and then from there, like you have these conversations where, all right, what is the goal of the collective? Is it going to be for all student athletes? Is it going to be for sport specific? And what do we want it to look like? Do we want it to be, we're paying the student athletes to promote the collective and then also paying them to do stuff in the community? Are we doing it so that you just have there's a little checkbox, right? So like, all right, did we talk to the administration? Are they cool with us even doing this? Right? Like USC, like they're like, please don't do this, right? And having some goals. What is our goals? All right, cool. Now where and who should we talk to find this money, right? So, and I told that guy today, like, if you go to a game and you go out and you look at the stands, you see sponsors, right? You see local sponsors and you see national sponsors. So let me call that local sponsor, or let me see that owner of the Toyota dealership, right? Call him. Is he a big alumni? Is he invested, right? And then from there, you kind of just see, all right, do we have a financial goal? Do we want to give every student athlete the same amount of money? Do we want to, there's a lot of questions that you just have to ask. Right. I think, is that a good answer?
That's a great answer. That's an amazing answer, because it gets it. Like I know one thing that you did touch on was like if you go to your administration and you have somebody else that has thought about this idea, then now you can partner up, and because it makes no sense to, especially if the end goal is to help the athletes, then what would be the reason why you would have this collective and this collective?
Exactly.
Bring it all into one pot. So
then you just want to, and for me, like I think the best collectives have former student athletes involved because they know that side of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe even having just like a current student athlete just be like aware of what's going on, and maybe even like an ambassador for you guys, like in the community. Like you can pay to have ambassadors for the collective as well as pay the student athletes with them. So there's a lot of stuff there, and like that's a conversation, that if anyone ever needs help and has questions, like my DMs are always open, as you know. But yeah, like that's basically the foundation that you'd want to start to move forward with a collective.
Cool. No, that's definitely good information for everybody listening. Whoever wants to support their school and help build their programs, because that's definitely a great avenue to be able to build it. No, so as we close, I know we're coming up on our time, and I know you got to get back on the road. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to with the next step in your career?
Yeah, sure. And how was that your daughter that just walked in? Hi. So, honestly, I got 90 days left till the national championship. So 90 days are ahead of me. And every day is a new, adventure, and I wake up scared every day, and I have to, figure it out, right? But
right.
I've had some people message me. Oh, are you still there?
I'm here.
I've had some people message me about potential opportunities after this that are completely left field. But at the same time, I'm taking it day by day because, I'm also, it's funny, I'm doing what people say you should do, but doing it in front of everyone, right?
Right.
So it's definitely one of those things where I feel like I am like a petri dish, right? So of going for it, and going forward. I'd love to work in sports in some way. If it's still with NIL, that's awesome. If it's in some kind of travel show, that's awesome too. In fact, I'm from a NIL and just agency standpoint. I did a deal with TickPick for a few $100s, and so now I'm the storytelling and what we were talking about earlier. I have a brand now. In fact,
right.
There's a automotive manufacturer of parts that I saw they were giving, so they're giving away tickets to the national championship as a promotion, and I saw it at one of the games, so I was like, I'm going to email them, and it only makes sense for someone who's on a road trip to promote them. So they were like, yes, we would love to do something. Can you send me your rate sheets? I don't have rate sheets, so I got to figure that out. But that's part of this too. I can tell that story. I can be like, hey, I'm not a student athlete, but I'm driving 40 hours a day. That's a marathon,
Right.
And
right.
I'm also, I don't know anything about rate sheets, but I'm gonna give them prices or whatever. And I don't want to sell out, but if they don't want to do them, all right, that's fine. But so I think it's something where I can go to students and be like, I didn't know what I was doing. I just went out and did it. And now I can help you. And I think that's a tangible thing. The only thing I'm missing is being an athlete. But
right.
I don't know.
No, and I think that speaks to the journey, back to what we talked about. You're just going to learn as you go. You get out there and you just do it and you learn. You learn along the way, and you're going to get better at it. And then, like you said, this could be something that you do on a yearly basis. And now this is your brand that you have built. And the beginning of it started with you just jumping out and going. And that's something that you can tell to these athletes, or you can tell to these student athletes, and hey, this is what I did. And then on top of that, the fact that you are going out to these different schools, if you wanted to jump back in the NIL space, what better way to do it than you're on these campuses?
I've met administrators, I've met coaches from I was sitting in not Charlotte, in Ohio, Athens, Ohio, and they're like, hey, do you want to come on? I got connected to be on their pregame podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's live, and I went on, but I was also leading off before the softball coach, and after I talked on it, she's like, we just talked, I have this unexpected and very grateful access to coaches, right now, and administration. So there is value in that too, just being there. And right now, I just give my thoughts for free. Like, I don't charge anyone. I'm consulting for John Hopkins, and I just said, hey, just put me on your website or something. I don't know. And like, I think, but on the back end, there will be, like you said, like, you know, I think I told you before this, the head coach of Marshall DM'd me on this road trip and said, can't wait to have you here. Like, that's crazy. Like that.
Right.
And so maybe there is something there where I come back and or maybe I'm like a game day consultant. I've gone to all these games. I can tell you what's cool. I can tell you what's not cool. Like, I don't know, but like I'm building, and every day I'm learning.
No, that makes the most sense, right? Because you have seen everybody's game day experience. What you can tell, hey, what you like, what you don't like. You can speak to what people that you talk to like, what they don't like. You can also speak to some of these different traditions that these different colleges have. So I think it's amazing what you're doing. I definitely appreciate you coming on and having a conversation. Look forward to following you along the journey. Is there anything else that you want to leave anybody with?
No, I mean, this has been like the most intimate like conversation I've had, and I think that's so I'm grateful for that, because, you know, mostly it's just like quick snippets on, I've been on the news, but like I think I was on a Florida Gator podcast too, and it's more like jokes and stuff like that because I know those guys, but like this, I don't know like the vibe of it, but I'm very grateful for you having me on, like just speaking to you and like you affirming like this is kind of cool, like that fires me up. But no, I mean, if anyone that you know listens or follows you on this journey of your podcast, like has any questions or issues, or like wants me to look at a contract for them, you know, I'm more than happy to do that. I've seen not everything, but if I don't know the answer, I know someone in the space that does, and I've been more than happy to like connect them. So like I'm just here to help, and I'm very grateful for you to reach out to me, and I'm pumped up to see what tomorrow holds.
Cool. Well, you all, thank you for listening to another episode of Powerhouse Conversations. You make sure you all follow us and subscribe on YouTube at Dream Big Sports. You know, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah. Thank you. And I guess if you want to follow me, it's Ben G Chase. If you have any messages or questions, I'm sure it'll be in the description or something.
Yep, it'll be in the bio. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, man.